His voice is.
Your voice is like.
Jai Radha.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य श्रीमद एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की रामाचार्य श्रीदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन धाम की मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी महारानी की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की समवेत भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की भगवत गीता की गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Om Aganati Milandasya Anjanan Salakaya Chaksu Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadham Hayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Grijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Sure Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patidana Pavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So thank you all for being here today, and thank you for welcoming me to be part of your program. I have some house cleaning notes that I was requested to share with you very quickly. Because we have this beautiful new temple room, and the orientation is different from what we had before in terms of where Srila Prabhupada is situated and how we offer obeisances to the deities and how we offer obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Now, everyone knows, according to Nectar Devotion, which side of the body to offer your obeisances. Do you all know? Right or left?
Left.
Left side. So offering obeisances here, left side, means depending on where you're situated, you could be pointing your feet to Prabhupada. Depends. If you're close to the altar, it's not so bad. But if you're in the middle and you're offering obeisances to the deities, your feet are pointing to Srila Prabhupada, and that's not good for you. I think this railing is for what?
For coming.
Is it for coming, or is it so that Prabhupada has room to see the deities? Which one is it?
Both.
Because we have to be conscious that Srila Prabhupada is actually there. And I know in Atlanta what we had this thing in the middle of the floor, so nobody could stand in the middle so Prabhupada could see the deities, because he's in the back of the room like we have in the old temples. But here Prabhupada is on the side, like they have in Los Angeles and like they have in Gitanagari, different places. So we have to always be conscious. The whole idea of Krishna consciousness is to be conscious of everything. And the more we're conscious, the more advancement we make. So especially in reference to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is the founder, Acharya of this movement, and everything, all the credit goes to him. and all the respect goes to him. So when we enter this room, we should immediately feel the presence of Srila Prabhupada and be conscious. If you're conscious, there won't be any problem. If you're not conscious, then you might commit some simple mistake. I don't want to call offense, but just simple mistakes. So we all understand that we're offering obeisances from the left side to the deities, as well as on the left side to Srila Prabhupada, but make sure your feet don't point to him. And also when you're sitting in the temple room, like the devotion explains, do not sit with your back to the deities, and do not sit with your back to the Acharya, to the founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Just be conscious of those things. Is that okay? Thank you. So I thought this evening, since tomorrow is Christmas, just checking, see if some of you still relishing your Christmas vacation. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, which means 2019 starts on Tuesday. And it's very auspicious this time. Why? Because Tuesday is Ekadasi. Very auspicious time. So to sort of refocus our energy in the proper direction. So we're going to meditate a little bit about that this evening. How we can keep our consciousness focused in the proper direction so that this temple can make wonderful progress going forward. I was reading the other day in Srimad Bhagavatam, actually listening to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, and he said something very interesting, which we can think about a little bit. He was speaking about association. Develop love for each other through association. That's what Prabhupada said. And I heard that and I said, wow, it's beautiful. I stopped the tape, went back, and I exactly took out what he said. Develop love for each other through association. Because loving each other is extremely important for any desire, any plan, just like you have your New Year's resolutions. One of them should be for us as devotees is to love each other more. That's a simple one. I will make every effort in 2019 to love the devotees more. Now, when we talk about love, we're not talking about, like in the material world where you talk about love. Love is sense gratification. Love is, in the material world, is really lust. Bhagavad Gita explains that if you study very carefully, the love that we actually have for God, when it comes through this material energy, it turns into lust, transforms into lust. Is that third chapter or second? I can't remember, third or second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That love that we have for Krishna is contaminated, now it becomes lust. And we confuse it. We think that by going after material things and trying to enjoy those things is equivalent to loving Krishna, which is wrong. Loving Krishna is a totally different idea. It's like last night we were talking about Srimati Radharani. And the highest level of love of Krishna is coming from who? Srimati Radharani. And I heard Srila Prabhupada say something so interesting about Radharani. Radharani doesn't ask anything from Krishna. Nothing. That is the symptom of great love. I'm not asking anything from you, I just want to give you. In our sense, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sudidam Sarva Bhutanam. Sudit means friend, but it's a specific kind of friend. In the material world, just like when I was a young man, I had many friends because I was a musician, so I knew a lot of people. And they liked to come to my apartment for many reasons, none of them Krishna conscious. And they really liked me because I always made it sure I provided the things that they enjoyed, whether it was music or whatever it was. But the moment I became a devotee and started practicing Krishna consciousness, and there's one Mataji who trained me, Mother Sukshma Rupini, she came to my apartment and threw out everything that was not Krishna conscious. Of course, my ex-wife didn't like that at all, but she just threw it out. So my friends stopped coming. And I was surprised. So where are all my friends? They don't like me anymore because I'm into Krishna now. I have no more friends. And I remember at the Sunday feast, I would look at the door, waiting, when will my friends show up? Because I'm their friend. Don't they love me? Guess what? They never showed up. And the one friend who showed up, he was intoxicated. I said, maybe you should just go back home. It's not good for you to come. So that is a different kind of friend. That is a friend who's expecting something from you, and you're also expecting something from them. Who understands what is a surit? Suridam, Sarvabhutanam. Sarvabhutanam means all of us, all living beings. Sarva Bhutanam. Surit, Krishna is saying, it says in the Gita, best, well-wishing friend. And Prabhupada explains several places. That friend who does not expect anything from you. Who is that friend? Krishna. You can do a simple analysis, philosophically speaking. When you breathe air, is there some program in Philadelphia that you have to pay for your air to breathe? You don't pay for it. Maybe you pay for a purifier because there's so much pollution. But breathing air, you've been breathing your whole life, whether you're 5 years old, or 45 years old, or 67 years old, or 100 years old. No one ever charged you for air. Drinking water. Krishna says, Rasoham. What is the rest? Rasoham? Apsukonteya. I am the taste of water. Of course, Prabhupada said any liquid. So water is given to us by God, and basically is free, unless you want to buy this purified water. I remember in India, I used to buy that Bisleri, is that how you say it? Bisleri. And someone told me, Prabhu, don't be fooled. They take the same bottle, and you take out the water, and they put some more water. It's nothing special. I went, really? I thought I was drinking purified water. So water is given to us by Krishna. Air, water, what else? Also, Annan Bhavati Gutan. This anna, food grain, without it we cannot live, is given by Krishna. No matter how much money you have, if you don't get food grain, you will die. Krishna provides all that. He's a wonderful, loving friend who doesn't expect anything back. Guess what? There are more people who don't like Krishna than the ones who do. It's a fact. Now you have a whole class of people who do not like, well, they don't even care about the name Krishna, God. Atheist. Atheist. They don't believe in God. And they actually curse God. God is dead. Prabhupada used to always talk about that phrase in the 60s. God is dead. Or, I am God. I met a young man once after Harinam in Atlanta. I said, what's your name? God. I said, you don't look like God. He said, my name is God. Oh, really? Okay, fine. So I figured I had to tone down my conversation with him. People actually think they can become God. In India, we have so many classes of so-called philosophers and yogis, they think they have become God. Like when Lord Chaitanya went to Prakashananda Saraswati, his place, and Lord Chaitanya sat down in the place where people were washing their feet, practically. Very humble. He was a sannyasi. So they came to him and said, no, come sit with us, not raise platform, please come. And Lord Chaitanya was not very much interested. But they said, we see that you have already become Narayan. Because in their mind, we will become Narayan one day. But you're so special, you're glowing, you've already become Narayan. Lord Chaitanya, of course he's Krishna, but he was playing the part of a sannyasi. So Krishna is our friend. He's proven it, has he not? If you don't believe it, just take a breath of air. Your friend is providing that. But he's not really expecting anything from us except what? What is it that we have to give Krishna? What is it that can really please Krishna? The example is Srimati Radharani.
Love.
And Krishna was hankering for her love. He said, I cannot understand your love. I have everything except that. I want to experience that. And that is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to experience this love that Radharani was feeling for him, Krishna. Because Krishna is saying, I have nothing in my whole storehouse. I need to feel that love. So obviously, following in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani would be an advisable path for all of us. Yes or no?
Yes.
As Prabhupada says in Vrindavan, everyone goes Jai Radhe. Because they know if you can please Radharani, Krishna will be pleased. Just like in a normal material life, husband and wife relationship, if I can please your family members, your wife and your children, then you're more inclined to accommodate me if I'm respectful to your family. If I come into your house and say, your wife is stupid and your children are ridiculous and they're ugly, your home looks bad, how will you treat me? Get out. You don't belong here. But if I come into your house or this house and I look and see, oh my God, it's so beautiful, even if I don't know who this is. My little granddaughter, when she was not, well, she's no longer little. Now, when she was 9 years old, we had a birthday party at the temple. And my wife made her a cake. And we were standing in front of the deities to take a picture, a family picture. And my little 9-year-old granddaughter looked around with this cake in her hand. She looked at Radha Madan Mohan. She said, Grandpa, can I give them some? I went, how does she know it's of them? She's a little kid. Doesn't it look like a statue? They look so beautiful, like the Radharani here. Mother Subhadra was showing me one picture today of the gopi dots on her face. I said, this Radharani is so beautiful. Yes? Is the Radharani here beautiful or not?
Yes.
That's not enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Is she beautiful?
Yeah.
She's the most beautiful. And you get to come here and see her. That door should be people running in and out, coming to see the deities. It's like in India, if you go to, what is that? Not Tirupati, of course Tirupati, but Jaipur. And the Radha Govinda ji. Because Rupa Goswami's, his deities are there, right? And people are going to Mangal Arti, they're going to see the deities. It's just constantly because they want to be close and see them and experience that reciprocation. So Krishna is very, very pleased when we start to exhibit love, not only to him, but especially to his devotees. Krishna is very, very pleased when you show love to his devotees. You must understand this, is a very important point. Because in the neophyte condition of life, which is the beginning stage of Krishna consciousness, our focus is on trying to please the deity and please Krishna. And that's all different things you read in Nectar Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, even more pleased if you can satisfy his devotees in a transcendental way. So he's saying, Bhajitam Pritipurvakam, serving with love. And that love should expand to all of us. It's not enough for us just to love Krishna. We have to love each other. So Prabhupada is saying, develop love for each other through association. Now let's unpack this idea of association. What does that mean? It's like we know in the mundane world people associate by going to football games and or what you call cricket and all these different games and movies and coming to each other's home to enjoy something. So that is how people look at association. But how do we look at association? How do we classify Krishna conscious association? Last night we had a nice program at Sukadeva Prabhu's house. About 80 devotees came, and we associated by chanting, dancing, prasadam, discussing a little something back and forth. It's very nice. Is that authorized or is it not authorized? Rupa Goswami explains. You can repeat. Dadati pratigrinati.
Dadati pratigrinati.
Guyam agyati pritchati.
Guyam akyati pritchati.
Bhunte bhojayate chaiva.
Bhukte bhojayate chaiva.
Shadvidham priti lakshanam.
Shadvidam priti lakshanam.
So he says, offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad, and offering prasad are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. Very, very specific. Like last night I was so pleased and surprised. I know somebody loved me because they gave me a cheesecake for my birthday. I was like, okay, somebody who cares about it. Because they know that's something I really like is prasadam cheesecakes, and someone thought to do that. Do you think that made a difference to me, yes or no? It touched my heart, because I was not expecting that. It was like wonderful. Why did you were there last night? So all of a sudden someone says, we love you, Prabhu. One thing that we don't do enough of in this Krishna consciousness movement is to tell each other how much we love each other. Now, I know it's difficult to say a man telling a woman, especially brahmacharis, you don't have to really say it like that, but in your heart, you love the Matajis. I was a brahmachari 8 years, so I know what I'm saying. You love the Matajis by protecting them. The brahmacharis should always look out for the Matajis, make sure everything is fine, especially our older Matajis. It's very important that we have to show some affection. If you're the son of the mother, my mother died when I was 21 years old, many years ago. To this day, I still think about her. So you have some affection for your mother. Prabhupada says, if you're not married, every woman is your what? Mother. Sister. Bahin. Your mother. Every woman other than your wife is your mother. How do you treat your mother? How should you treat your mother? That's the real question. Love, respect, attention. So how should we treat the mothers in our movement? I just said it. Love, respect, attention, care. So in trying to develop love for each other, sharing love for each other, Rupa Goswami is giving us a system. First, he says, offering gifts in charity. And the other part, accepting charitable gifts. So if we're going to increase the love amongst each other in this community in 2019, that's a simple thing. Like I was thinking the other day, we should know everyone's birthday in this community, not just mine. Of course, I appreciate it when you remember it. But we should, as a system, as a protocol, we should know every member's birthday. You know, there's software. I remember 20 years ago, practically, when I got this software for the temple in Atlanta, and you could put everyone's birthday, you know, Makanchar used to manage that, everyone's birthday. So automatically it pops up. Tomorrow is Sukadeva Prabhu's birthday, tomorrow is, you know, Jagannath Priya's birthday. And the simple thing, like they used to do in New Vrindavan, is send you some prasadam. We're not looking for any big gifts. I remember New Vrindavan was very good at this. They would send this wonderful burfi from the cow's milk. And I remember devotees in Atlanta were like, wow, they remembered my birthday. Because they had a system in place to do that. Because they wanted to make sure that you knew how much they cared about what service you had done, whether you come one time or 100 times to the temple. Very, very important. So that's following the example that Rupa Goswami is giving us. Giving gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts. Then he says, now this one is really difficult. The next two parts are extremely difficult, so pay attention. Revealing one's mind in confidence. Now, why do I say that's difficult? It's because we don't trust each other. I'm not going to tell you something that's private to me, that's important to me, if I don't trust that you will not misuse that information. Suppose I told you one of my weaknesses, when I have many, believe me, I have a book full of weaknesses. And if I tell you those weaknesses, and if you don't really love me, you will exploit me. You will find some way to exploit my weaknesses. We all know that happens in the mundane world. But in Krishna consciousness, we should be able to share with each other because we're all going through different levels of pain, stress, anxiety, confusion, but we don't know who we can talk to. I consider myself extremely fortunate because I have several godbrothers and godsisters, Prabhupada disciples, that I can confer with and get advice from. Even after all the years I've been in the movement, I don't make a step without talking to them. Some of them, you know, like at the opening of the temple, you had Mother Malati was here, right? She has given me so many instructions. So many wonderful instructions. Of course, I consider my dearest friend in the world, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj. So many instructions. So now if you want a good input from devotees, you need to reciprocate. You need to show that I love you, I care for you. We have to demonstrate that. There's a phrase they say in the material world. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We're always busy trying to show people what we know in Krishna consciousness. We know some slokas, we know some pastimes, we know some histories, we know something about the acharyas. And the person's thinking, but you don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through. And I'm not going to tell you because we have no relationship. So in 2019, there's a wall that we have to break down. And that wall is trust. We have to increase the trust factor. If we want more love in this community, first of all, must be more trust. Now, trust requires something. The way I'm explaining this to you, I have no degree, no background in whatever, studying this in college. In fact, I didn't go to college. I left high school, became a professional musician. That was it. This is something I've learned over the years from associating with devotees and my own private studies. It begins with communication. You want trust? You have to have communication. What kind of communication? Clear and honest. Do not be devious in your conversations with devotees. I have a problem. My problem is straightforwardness. It's a problem. Because I will say what I really think should be said to you, but at the proper time. There's another point. Suppose I need to share something with you. I have to be intelligent enough to realize, engage our relationship, and wait for the right time in private if I want to share something sensitive with you. I will never share the sensitive thing in public. It's very dangerous. Trust will be lost. Trust is gone. So communication first. Honest, clear, sensitive communication. I was reading from Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita in our weekly study group we have on Tuesdays. You're all invited to participate if you have time. But he's saying that the speech, when you speak, it should be very pleasing. Don't use harsh speech, especially when you're talking amongst devotees. Don't do it. Because you're thinking by raising your voice or emphasizing in a heavy way, you're going to get more cooperation. It will never happen. If you use the right humble mood, the right vibration, it breaks down that apprehension, that lack of trust, it breaks down. And you can communicate better. So, revealing one's mind in confidence or confidentially. So what does that mean again? If I share something with you, it should stay with us, yes? Just between us. I may tell you, you can share, that's okay. But if I say, Prabhu, this is confidential, I expect you to respect that. And that builds trust. Trust, it happens incrementally. Just little small things that you do to prove that you care for me, and then I prove that I care for you. Then we can do bigger things in terms of our lives. But it starts these very small things. So we have to think, what can I do to elicit more confidence from you and more trust from you so that we can communicate more honestly? Because there's some things I want to share with you. But I don't know if I can share with you right now because I don't know if we have that much of a relationship. So you have to think. So, and also revealing one's mind, inquiring confidentially, in confidence. And so revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially. And Prabhupada equated that to Ishtagoshti. Like devotees have something we call Ishtagoshti, where we sit together and we share different ideas, we open our hearts and try to discuss. We need to really start doing that as much as we can here in Philadelphia. We need to have some format where we can honestly discuss with each other. I just joined one Facebook group with my godbrothers and godsisters, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And I tried something this week. I tried to share something very sensitive in my heart to these devotees. And I got some very interesting responses. The first one was like, I don't think that's a good thing for you to say. I'm thinking, you don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through. Then another one came, said, Prabhu, I think that was very nice. And so what I realized over the course of a week, how much love was being shown to me. And it gave me so much more confidence to open my heart and share confidentially with these devotees. It's very sweet. So I would highly recommend that you try to develop some way to communicate with each other more deeply, not superficially. What happens when we come to the Sunday feast, please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be critical, but there's not much of an opportunity for open discussion about what's actually happening in your heart, transcendentally. Now, Prabhupada explained about this confidential discussion. It's not nonsense discussion. Like confidentially doesn't mean, you know what, I don't like her. And she comes to the temple, she's always late. And that one, he eats too much. And that one thinks he's some big deal because he's this, that, and the other. That's not confidential. That's dangerous. Confidential means, Prabhu, I was thinking, I was reading last night. Just like the other day, someone discussed something confidential with me. It was about Radharani, and we talked about it last night. And the person asked me, is Radharani an expansion? That means they had been reading somewhere and they saw that term expansion. So they wanted to know. I could have easily criticized that person, saying, you don't understand the philosophy, you haven't read Prabhupada's books, you're spaced out. But instead we had a wonderful conversation. I said, expansion is a word that Prabhupada explains is used to give you some point of reference. There is no expansion of Radharani. Radharani is eternal. Krishna is eternal. Is Balaram the expansion of Krishna? Yes or no? I heard a couple of yeses. Not really. Balaram's eternal. Is your arm an expansion of you? Is your anga? Yes. But when did your arm begin? When you began. Simultaneous. So when did Balaram begin? Did he begin at some point? That means he's not really an expansion. He's Balaram. He's a personality Balaram. Radharani is a personality Radharani. She never began. So that devotee was a little bit confused whether or not Radharani was like an incarnation or she came out at some point. Krishna wanted to enjoy it and Radharani popped out. Maybe that's what she was thinking. So instead of taking advantage of that, we had a wonderful discussion. And she felt so happy from that discussion. So like that, you can start to talk about things that are very important to you transcendentally, spiritually, that you may not understand. Here's the other thing. Sometimes you don't understand something that you've been reading or studying, but you're afraid to ask a devotee because you don't want to look stupid in front of them. You don't want to look like you don't know the philosophy. How will you understand the philosophy if you don't have discussions, right? You have to discuss back and forth, back and forth. Very important. So my point is that at the Sunday feast, generally speaking, is not the most opportune moment to have those discussions. And then we have our lecture, which is best that we can do in 45 minutes or an hour. But there must be some important things in your mind that you're trying to understand. There should be. You should be trying to understand the finer points of the philosophy. I'll give you one word. Let me see if you know what this word means. Tantamount. Anyone know the definition of tantamount? Tantamount. Now, if you've been reading Prabhupada's books, you'll see that word is there. Like last night, I read something from the Chaitanya Charitamrita in reference to Srimati Radharani. And it said that Krishna was embarrassing Radharani because he was describing the activities from the night before, the amorous pastimes from the night before. Unless you know what the word amorous means, you don't know what he's talking about, even though you're reading Prabhupada's book. So I asked everyone, what does the word amorous mean? And just like right now, everyone's looking at me like, so who knows what that means? Amorous. So Dronacharya Prabhu said, like amor, love. So that love between especially man and woman. So Krishna's telling the gopis, embarrassing Radharani about the love affairs they had the night before. It's like, wow. So Prabhupada, another word, again, he said tantamount. So I remember years ago, and Vaishya Prabhu was there, Swavas Prabhu was temple president from Los Angeles was there. We were all sitting in a room reading Prabhupada's books, and we came across that word, tantamount. Tantamount basically means it's more or less equal to the other thing, more or less. Like you say, such and such is tantamount to owning this, or tantamount to doing that. So we were like, wow, that's what Prabhupada's talking about. This is amazing. So we were sharing that excitement with each other. Not saying, well, you don't know what that word means, you're really dumb. We want to understand Prabhupada's explanations very deeply, correct? We want to study very deeply. Then the last one, excuse me, my voice goes out every time I come to Philadelphia. Now this one's easy, especially for the little ones. You like prashadam? You like sweet balls? What do you like? What's your best prashadam that you like? Pakora? Huh? Cake? You were there last time. He was jumping for the cake, you know? So, Rupa Goswami says, accepting prashad. Does anyone in this room have a problem accepting prashad? I don't think so. Alicia, what do you say? There's no problem, right? Just, if you offer it, I'll accept. It also explains in Shastra that even if you're not even in a clean, proper state, if prashadam is offered to you, take it. And even if the prashadam is thrown on the ground, take it. Even if it's old, take it. Accept that prashad. The other part of that is offering prashad. We don't have a problem accepting, but sometimes we forget to offer and share with each other. So Rupa Goswami is giving us a nice package, a nice system for us to achieve more love for each other here in ISKCON Philadelphia in 2019. If we really feel that it's important, is it important for us to have more love and respect for each other, yes or no? Yes. Absolutely. Because there's not going to be much cooperation, which is what we'd like to see, without love. And there won't be much love without following what Rupa Goswami is sharing with us, and also increasing our sincere and honest communications. So I just want to share what my personal desire is for this community. I have no right to have a desire, but I have one. And that desire, I had to write it down because it was in my mind. My hope for ISKCON Philadelphia is that we will create such a loving and supportive mood that devotees and interested persons will come here just to observe how we achieve such a high standard of love and devotional service. That's my desire for this community. That we have such a mood. And as I was thinking about that, it came to my mind the pastime in the Krishna book of Uddhava. You all know about Uddhava, right? Yes? Uddhava and Krishna book. This is taken directly from the Krishna book. Uddhava is described as the most exalted personality in the Vrishni dynasty. Being almost equal to Krishna, he was a great friend of Krishna's, and being the direct student of Brihaspati, the teacher and priest of the heavenly planets, he was very intelligent and sharp in decision. Intellectually, he was highly qualified. Krishna, being his very loving friend, wanted to send him to Vrindavan just to study the highly elevated, ecstatic devotional service practiced there. Even if one is highly elevated in material education and is even the disciple of Brihaspati, he still has to learn from the gopis and the other residents of Vrindavan how to love Krishna to the highest degree. It was Krishna's special favor to Uddhava to send him to Vrindavan with a message for the residents there, which was meant to pacify them. So I was thinking that, why not devotees from all over the country, all over the world, after hearing about ISKCON Philadelphia. Recently there was an article put in devotee communication about your successful opening of the temple. Very nice article. That's an international communications channel for ISKCON. What you did here on that day has been broadcast all over the world. People are hearing about ISKCON Philadelphia. I was not fortunate to be here physically, but I saw the whole program because of Prabhuji. You know, he arranged a beautiful live stream. Shamkumar Prabhu, thank you very much. Haribol. So I had some other obligations that day, but I was putting on my clothes, putting on tilak, watching everything. It was so beautiful. So devotees are hearing little bits and pieces about ISKCON Philly, because they have heard some other things about ISKCON Philly. Oh, it's a difficult temple. Oh, it's a this or it's a that. Oh, it's lost 2 presidents, or whatever they heard. Now they're hearing another story. Wow, they just built a temple? How did they do that? My God, ISKCON Philly? I thought Philly was going down the drain. No. They just built, I'm telling everyone, they built a new temple. In Atlanta one time, the devotee told me, will you stop talking about Philadelphia? I said, well, it's a wonderful temple. It's a wonderful devotees. And look what they've accomplished. Now, even more than that, if we can make ISKCON Philadelphia famous for what Prabhupada envisioned us to be, and I wanted to share that, that's the last thing we'll talk about, the third purpose of ISKCON. I mean, Prabhupada wanted us to love and respect each other. And he wanted us to come closer together. So it's the third purpose of ISKCON, which I've spoken about too many times. Give you one, indulge me. It's the end of the year, so I'll say it one more time. To bring, so repeat after me, to bring the members of the society together.
To bring the members of the society together.
With each other.
With each other.
And nearer to Krishna.
And nearer to Krishna.
The prime entity.
The prime entity.
And thus to develop the idea.
And thus to develop the idea.
Within the members.
Within the members.
And humanity at large.
And humanity at large.
That each soul.
That each soul.
Is part and parcel.
Is part and parcel.
Of the quality of Godhead.
Of the quality of Godhead.
Each soul. So think about what that means, like these little children. Quality of Godhead. The Matajis. Quality of Godhead. The guy who walked in the door that was intoxicated didn't know he was at a Hare Krishna temple. Quality of Godhead. The person who hates the Hare Krishna movement. Quality of Godhead. How do you treat that person? Many times on Hare Now we encounter these kinds of people. One time this Christian guy came up to me. He was like, he had his Bible. I said, can I see your Bible? He said, why do you want my Bible? So I said, just let me read something. Right there on Hare Now, I read something from his Bible. And he was like, you respect my book? I said, yeah, no problem. Because I see you as quality of Godhead. It starts with that. We show each other that much. Quality of Godhead. If we start seeing each other like that, problems will disappear. I promise. It will just disappear. There's a story, I think it's a Jewish story. Anyway, the short of the story is that, excuse me, is that these monks were living in a church or temple, whatever they call it, and everything started going down, quality going down, nobody was coming there, it was very deserted. But on that same property, a Jewish rabbi used to live. And the Jewish rabbi was a mystic. He would come and meditate on the property of these Catholics. And they knew he was there. He was like senior to them and they respected him. So they couldn't figure out why nobody's coming to our church. Like Prabhupada used to say, these churches are becoming empty. We have bought them, made them into temples like Los Angeles, different places around the country, Toronto. So they couldn't figure out why people stopped coming to our church. So they went to the rabbi and they asked the rabbi, please, you guide us. What happened? And the rabbi, in his infinite wisdom, said to them, one amongst you, is the Messiah. Now in Christianity, Messiah means like Jesus, the Savior. So he said, basically, one of you, the 3 or 4 of you, one of you is the Messiah. Now just follow the logic there. What do you think happened after that? What happened was, Father John looked around and said, it's definitely not me. I'm not the Messiah. It must be Brother John. And Brother John said, no, I'm not the Messiah. It must be Brother Paul. So they started looking at each other as a quality of Godhead. Prabhupada just said it. They started looking at each other that you might be the Messiah. I better be careful. I should be very careful with you. So if we start seeing each other, as Prabhupada says so beautifully here, part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, that will change the whole dynamic of our temple. So we should all pray for the inspiration, the motivation to begin to treat each other like that. Then whatever problems that are happening in the background, they'll just go away. When you start respecting each other on that level. Do not respect each other ethnically. You're from India, I'm from India, I respect you. You're not from India, I'll tolerate you. Or you're not from America, whatever, you're not this or that. Do not. Don't bunch up based on ethnicity, nationality. We should come closer together because we're all part of Krishna. We all have that quality. I should want to be in your presence. In your presence, I'm in the presence of Krishna because the super soul is in each person's heart. So it's not all the negativity, all the things that are holding us back are based on not truly understanding what Srila Prabhupada has given us in terms of the philosophy. Take that last part of this statement from Srila Prabhupada, that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, will help us to bring the members of the society. We don't want to come closer together and just make things worse by criticizing each other, finding fault with each other. When we come closer together and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, we have to have this understanding that each one of us is the quality of Godhead. So I pray that going into 2019, we'll begin to really show respect and love for each other more. We're already doing it, but more. So much so that devotees will come to ISKCON Philadelphia just to study how you did it. I just saw a video from Soho Street, London. It was amazing. The temple was going through some difficulties, getting devotees to do service, and the temple president basically changed his view of how to deal with devotees, because devotees were thinking that I cannot do service in the temple, there's no opportunity for me in the temple, and it was kind of structurally that only the Brahmins and this and that. So they made a change, a philosophical change, and that change was everybody in the community should be engaged in service. So they made it a practice how to engage everyone in the community on some level of service. And everybody started, now they have more than 100 devotees who come during the week, take care of the deities, clean the temple, cook the offerings. It's amazing. So ISKCON Philly, we want to attract devotees to come here, to be part of this, to study this. How did they do it? How did they create this environment where everyone's happy, everyone's so supportive, everyone's so open and so honest? I want to be part of that community. You'll find people moving here just to be part of your community. I promise. They will come just to be around you and your smiling faces, but you have to smile. That's one big thing. When people come to the temple and you're there, first thing you show them is a smile. Oh, welcome, Hare Krishna. Right? Sometimes you think, well, who is that? No, this is Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. That's a simple thing. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. So I'll stop there. Time is up. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Thank you, Hari Bol.
Not take any questions.
No.